Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful afternoon of the LCO. I'm here with, not Kitty, Rusty and Skimmy.
Yeah.
Where's Kitty?
Don't know, bro.
Oh, here
Not
she
sure.
is. Hey. What's going on? Kitty, what? Where have you been?
Were you guys not invited?
To what?
To what?
A funeral?
Whose?
Did you guys not get invited to Yumi's funeral after patch 13.1b? Or I was the only one? Well, you know, just had to dress up like this to attend my biggest hater's funeral, just to make sure I had the shoveler with me as well, and she was well buried under the floor. Something else happened today.
What happened? What else happened?
So I was walking to the studio, and there was some weird bald guy at the entrance.
Yeah.
I think his name's Tim Wendell.
Wendell?
Yeah, Tim Wendell.
Like Sailor?
Who's that?
I don't know. He was just some random guy standing there. He did say this to me. He said, no pislos allowed in.
Yeah.
I told him, yeah, I'm 5-season challenger, don't worry. But I unfortunately looked a bit too far up.
Right.
And his head blinded me today.
Because he's bald?
Because he's bald. And
We're taking casualties left, right,
Yeah,
and center
okay.
to kick off the LCO, aren't
Cool
we?
kitty.
your girl has
Savage.
to wear these sunnies today.
Coming in with a vengeance today, aren't you? Well, look, I'm going to let you settle down, Mrs. Ego Queen. But for the moment, let's have a quick look back at yesterday's games before we jump into today's action.
35 minutes into this game.
Kisei's got
So
two.
there is the double. That's what Kisei wants. Turrets are falling. Fights are continuing. Members are dropping like flies. Alador gets flashed upon by Zoranis. But it's now Braid's time to shine as he finds the shotgun. That's what he needs.
Zoranis can't be
dead.
stopped.
They're still trying to find him. Braid completely untouched across the wall. But how durable is this Cassante?
Jareth ultimate comes through. Why not? That's one. That's two. Caitlyn ult. Help him! No way. He can't believe he lived. Look at Shinky.
The disengage.
Venture Q in his face, and it's
Shinky.
done. Shinky just pressed it. How's it know he's there?
Shinky, please.
The comment gets him.
The vision toggling. That's beautiful.
What?
Waiting for the moment. Dongish, you say as well. Topside bush. TP. Now the whole squad's here. 5v5 time. Chippy says, I'm down the angle. What you going to do about it? Ragnarok active. You can't lock me down. You are dead. And Voice tries the lethal tempo active. Doesn't even bother to hit top of the hill. He knows it is a foregone conclusion. Double kill. Make it a triple kill. This man is possessed. 4 kills to his name. Tonight the Penta. But Coach Chippy still got...
Some insane scenes yesterday. Chiefs no longer going to have the flawless split that they were looking for every other split so far. Direwolves are on that bandwagon, so the only team undefeated. Let's see if that trend continues today. And of course, we got to see PGG going up against Mammoth, which was a chaotic affair. Do you want to tell me what happened with that one, Rusty?
Well, I mean, it was a close game until it wasn't. Extremely quickly, it blew out of control. But yesterday was a good day of games, Mac. It was exciting because every game was interesting. And considering week 1 was like a 25-minute average game time, it was nice to have something a little bit different.
Well, the leaderboard is looking a little bit different as well. So let's bring that one up to check the standings. We got Direwolves and PGG undefeated 3-0. We'll see if that trend can continue for PGG today because, of course, they're going to be playing the big dogs, not actually Direwolves, but the Chiefs later on, which is that match of the week, of course. Ground Zero, Mammoth, Team Bliss, and Kanga all currently in 4th position. It really is a battle for 4th at the moment. And Peace, if you weren't here yesterday, unfortunately, still unable to field a roster. So they're not playing this week. And it is one of these big super weeks. So we got 3 days of games, which means we're going to have a Wednesday LCO broadcast. And that's going to be tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Absolutely crazy, right?
That's true. I didn't know tomorrow was
Tomorrow
Wednesday.
is Wednesday, thank you, Matt.
Keeping track. Look, everyone loses track of the days over Christmas. All right, we're still, even though it's the end of January now, literally last day of January, we're still just shaking off the New Year's rust. But either way, let's have a look at the games we are going to be seeing here today on the LCO for week 2, day 2. We've got Direwolves up against Ground Zero to kick off the day at 6 p.m. 7 p.m. Kanga and Mammoth battle for 4th, it kind of seems, or 3rd, or wherever they bloody end up after everything's said and done. And then, of course, you're looking at that game of the week, the match of the week, PGG up against the Chiefs, who are probably going to be coming in with some angry League of Legends gaming. And as you can see at the bottom of the schedule, Peace yes, they can't play again, so Team Bliss are going to be getting that forfeit win today.
They certainly are. And I think for Ground Zero, I feel really sorry for them. They've had the most insane stacked schedule to start things off with Chiefs, PGG, and now up against the Direwolves, right? So it really is that trial of fire, saying that there is no time to really get yourself in hot form. I think second game could potentially be a banger. Kanga really needs to try and step up their game and showcase what they can do.
Yeah.
Mammoth have moments, so I think that's going to be one of those games where you don't want to say you're battling for scraps this early on, but it's a good chance for them to say, okay, let's just see how big that divide is in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Especially with Kanga and Mammoth, with their only wins being the forfeit when it was up against Peace. I think it'll be a really good test for both teams because we have seen a lot of weaknesses, especially in Kanga's early game. We saw something from Mammoth when they played up against PGG last night, where it was a lot of promises being made. So potentially we might have someone that will fill out the bottom of the tier list.
But we'll see if that's going to happen. But for now, I want to see the match of the week, and I want to talk about it as well, because we've got Chiefs and Pentsnet going toe-to-toe to round out the night at 8 p.m. And this could make or break a couple of groups. This could mean, you know, one of these teams is in the same group as Chiefs or not in the same group as Chiefs. And that's the fun of these round-robin segments. Now, Rusty, you told me that you, the most excited man in the world, was very excited to see this game today.
That's me, the most excited man in the world.
The
How'd
most
you know?
hyped man. Now, give me the
bubbling
spiel.
over.
Give me the spiel. What's going to go down in this game?
So I think there's a couple of really cool things to look at for this match. One, Violet seems to be back in hot form, who's someone that we'll be exploring a lot more as the game is upon us, right, at 8 p.m. But Violet's form check so far, I think even compared to last year, it feels like he's joined a new organization and is unleashed. And we know when Violet is in his best form that he is one of the top 2 ADCs in the region. We've seen him, you know, win local titles or at least push to be one of the top 2 definitively. So that's a big thing. He's also against Aladoric, which is a storyline that we kind of did squash because Peace were being annihilated by Chiefs. Everyone was being annihilated by the Chiefs last year. Chiefs now also looking at potentially 2 losses back-to-back. For a team that didn't lose the entirety of the second season up until the finals in Game 3, they might lose twice in a row, which is very much unheard of for what is now the Chiefs and Order, you know, 2 of the finalists combined into a super team. So that's certainly a big point to look towards. And I think those stories themselves kind of speak volumes, and that's not even including the experience and how many years the top side of the map has been playing League of Legends, Mac, because Churnfire, Skimmy, and
what was the number
Chippies,
that we looked
was
at?
it Chippies,
Chippies, it was
2015?
Like, yeah, 2015, like 470 pro games. The man's been around a long time and still just racking up quadra kills like it's easy.
Who's got more experience, Babbitt or Sherney?
Babbitt competitively would
Yes.
100% have more experience.
Okay.
He's been,
Surely Leo.
but Churnfire came in like a whirlwind one and then disappeared for a few years to some challenger scenes. So
Yeah,
I haven't been keeping track of how many games he's played, to be honest.
probably lots of solo queues.
He's still very good player, so I'm excited to see those junglers go head-to-head as well.
Very much so. Kitty, anything you want to say about the match of the week before we move the conversation along? How's that support gap looking? Is there a gap? Is Appy the new king on the block, or is Aladoric going to get some revenge for yesterday?
Well, Appy is definitely the king of role swapping because he went from mid to top to mid to support to back to mid lane back. I don't know what's going on with Appy, but we need to do some fact checking on this player. But of course, he's up against Aladoric, and Chiefs unfortunately lost against Dials last night, and Aladoric was not happy with his performance, of course, because we chatted up, and he was just very disappointed with how the early game went and how just team fights were played out. So hopefully we get to see a cleaner game from the Chiefs, but you know, ever since we've lost Arthur, Tipoon, and Tally from Chiefs back in 2022, their early game has been looking so very shaky for the side of Chiefs, and I just think their execution in some of these team fights just aren't it. When on the other hand, I think PGG, when it comes to these executions, are very clean. But, you know, sometimes they make some mechanical miscalculation and a mistake happens, and Chiefs are very happy to just play off that as well.
There was a lot of oopsies from both these teams yesterday. They, you know, you saw it on Twitter. Everyone was blowing up about it. But the conversation I want to have now, look, we'll get to the match of the week. We'll save some of the conversation for when that is on at 8 p.m. But for now, let's talk about the battle for the top 4, because we have a pretty set in stone top 3. But that battle for 4th place at the moment, it's all over the shop. No one knows who it's going to be.
Do we... I need to bring up the graphic, but I feel like we all had different predictions in the middle of the park as to where we thought 4th, 5th, and so on would go. So
the predictions.
The end of
yeah,
predictions.
yeah. Like I feel as if we're all very divided as to what we think. We're all very clear on what we think the top 3 is. I think that's been demonstrated by just the games themselves. But that 4th and 5th spot, it's a bit like, who could play Dark Horse, who could really look to try and upset, and you've got a lot of those players returning as package duos, like the bot lanes, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, here you go. Thank you so much, production. Yeah, look at fourth. We're all different. We just really don't know really what that could look like. So I find that the most exciting, personally, is because as much as we praise this top three, you're just thinking,
Max is living
where
his
does it
best
go?
life right
I'm
now.
just
Look at
looking
him.
where I put Direwolves. Like, what was I bloody thinking? Either way, look, I still reckon Bliss, who I have as first, are my pick for fourth. From what we've seen, they've got that skill ceiling that's incredibly high, but just execution-wise, just a little bit sloppy at the moment. They're still ironing out the kinks. That's going to be my fourth place. I'd say fifth. Oh, out of what we have seen, probably Kanga.
Well, we haven't seen Peace.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that changes all of this so much because, like you're saying, the first three seem to be locked in, right? Maybe the order isn't. We're going to find that as we go. But fourth place, like, are Peace good?
What if they just come in and stomp
Peace?
everybody?
Yeah.
Right? That's the concern, right?
What
You
is
have
a
a
piece?
super
When
stacked
is
group.
Peace?
Where are the pieces?
How piece?
All these
So many
questions.
questions.
But look, so Kitty, who have you got as fourth right now? You thinking Bliss? You thinking GZ? Where you feeling?
Well, on the graph, I had Kanga, but they've been getting beat up in these games, unfortunately. I really thought Fido, with his expertise and with how much experience he has going, playing alongside all these new players and, of course, very young players, it would be just, you know, they would mold well. But new players, they tend to make a lot of mistakes, especially in these competitive games. The nerves, the mistakes, they all come flying through, especially when you're up against PGG for your, I believe it was PG? Was it Dials?
Which team, Kanga?
Kanga's second day game, because they got a forfeit on the first
Yeah, the
day.
first game was up against PGG and they
Yeah,
just lost in the first
PG,
minute.
the absolute rookie stompers,
Yeah.
stomped Kanga and made them kangaroo jerky. So at least Shernfire is eating good, you know what I'm saying?
Funnily enough, that's my dog's favorite treat at the moment. But either
Oh.
way, look, you're going to need a little bit of adaptation. All these skills, you know, personally, mentally, knowledge bases, even some creativity. It all goes in together. That's the recipe. But what are we cooking? It's the LCO Champion Conundrum!
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could read you? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
We are
down as
drawing
Beautiful.
the items again. If you
Beautiful.
guys were, you know, not missing a show last year, of course, you would have seen this one. Essentially, we got whiteboards, we got colored markers, and we have, can I get a time limit
put it
check? Is it 30? Is it 60 seconds? We got 30 seconds
Dangerous.
to
Jeez,
draw
they're dangerous.
the items. They can be old items, they can be current items, and they can be new versions of the current
Crazy
items,
ginger.
because we got a couple of crazy things going on into this new year. What are you doing?
Nothing. Nothing. Sorry.
Don't worry about us, mate.
Don't worry about it.
Worry about yourself, mate.
Talking is hard when I've got children giggling in my ear. Either way, look, it's going to come up on the screen. We're going to get the name of the item, and then we all just have to remember what it looks like. Draw it, give it our best crack.
30 seconds?
And who's voting? I think we just all vote. Maybe production votes. Someone votes. Maybe even Twitch
Production
chat
did
votes.
last time, I think.
Production.
Production's
Yep.
voting on who wins, who's the closest. But let's check out item number one. What is it going to be? Oblivion Orb. Oh, give me this one.
Man, I mean, I don't remember what any item looks like. I'm telling you right now.
Ew.
Man, I remember when I was a kid and the teacher would use this teal marker on the whiteboard and I couldn't see anything.
How long ago was that, Kitty?
Like 2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the wrong color.
There you go. Pause. Stop.
You colored
Time's up.
it?
Yeah, you know, I feel like color's the way to go.
I ran out of time.
I also
Just
flipped
drawn
it-
a, I've drawn a
Ready?
planet, G. I've
Don't
drawn a
reveal
planet.
just yet, even though everyone could probably see it anyway. Ready? 3,
I'm not
2,
ready.
1. Reveal.
I ran out of time.
Is mine the right way up? Mostly. You can't even see the
Oh,
green.
You can see the one line. He did 2 lines. I'm dobbing on him. He did 2
Oh,
lines.
but no, but there's the crosses. There's the gold
I have the
cross
I
cross
around
there.
can't
it.
see a single
Mm.
bit of Max.
Yeah, my greens. It was a bad decision. Can I?
You got the circles.
I got the circles. I remembered the ring around it, but
I didn't. There's a circle in there.
Okay.
Trust me.
What is that?
Trust me, there's a circle in there.
I knew it
That
was
looks
a
like
green.
Oriana's little ball.
It was a green background and green somewhere, and then like goes off into
like
the
this,
darkness.
this angle. I got the
Yeah.
wrong angle.
Who's closest? I don't know, probably
Skimmy,
Kitty?
if you
I didn't color it in though.
do like, hold like
Me?
that.
If I
oh,
hold the
yeah.
angle,
That's not bad.
Why did you draw black around it?
Because it goes into the dark background.
Oh.
on the
item,
see?
if I hold
There.
it
Well,
like
you
here.
got the
There.
ombre effect.
There.
Just getting the angle right.
Oh!
Okay, bro. Okay.
A
Production
win!
bias. Production bias.
A win. Thank you, production. I'll
Can't wait
pay
to
you,
erase that
give you
one.
that menu log voucher later, all right? Beautiful. Now, either way, we've got a few more of these to get through. Let's wipe the slate clean. Oh.
I don't think I've ever processed
tough
what an
one.
item looks like.
Oosh.
Think about it consciously. You just see it and you're just like, yep.
Like,
Right.
In my head, it's a color.
Beautiful.
That's it.
All right,
Mm.
item number 2. What do we got? Boots of swiftness. Swifties? Wait, yeah? Okay.
You can't really see this color, actually. Maybe I don't do this color.
It's not good. It's no good. It's like a light blue background. We don't have a light blue. That sucks. Time's up. Wow, this was horrendous for me. Everyone ready? Reveal in 3, 2, 1.
Is that a heel?
I got the wing on it. I forgot it was fluffy at the
There's
top.
a little heel.
I've got the wing.
Ooh.
I've got the wing.
Oh, I forgot
You've
about
got the wing. Okay.
But I got the heel.
My man went overtime with the
Me-
gold cost.
That's all I know.
I got some blue on the background. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Kitty, you didn't even get the
He's got a
feather.
heel.
But I got the heel.
The heel?
Like, look at the compare the two side by side right now.
Okay,
Let me
bro.
wait. Let me just.
But where's the feather?
Guess what? Everyone in production says it's me.
Can we
Yet
just
again.
acknowledge that we didn't suck
2
this
from
time?
2. Yeah, you
Max,
guys got
Max
the
killed
feather.
it, but we
True,
didn't
true.
suck.
Wow.
We didn't suck.
Look, I might have the worst League of Legends knowledge out of everyone here on the couch.
Mac
But
with one line
damn
such
howdy,
as how did I
I've
die?
got a creative arts degree and it's
That kills me.
flourishing right now.
That one shot?
Look, we got time for one more, so let's have a look at what the third and final item is. Leandries.
Oh, Ellis is crying over this one.
bro.
Oh, Kitty, didn't you do this one time?
Did I?
I can't remember.
It is. I don't remember. Don't laugh.
I'm missing the yellow.
That's so bad.
Oh, that's not the color at all. That's not red.
I'm just gonna.
That's definitely not red. I didn't get the color at all. I had to think too hard. Damn.
Bro.
My worst feature.
Wait,
Alright.
what?
My
You
man's
guys
part
are
of the
gonna love
gang.
these. Ready?
He's taking bodies.
3, 2, 1, reveal.
Mac, that's a moo.
It really is. I got the unhappy face.
Oh, I got the yellow crown as
Yeah,
well.
I got the eye color wrong.
Yeah, I
Kitty,
think Kitty wins.
you win. You win. Congratulations,
Listen, I got the
Kitty.
tear.
I
to
didn't
be
study
fair.
arts
You did
during
get the
high
There's
school
tear.
the
for
tears. I
nothing,
knew there was
guys.
crying somewhere. I just drew it like gangsters got
I
a
gave my
kill
guy a
instead of
band
it.
for the
You
back
look
of
like
the
you got a
head.
little tattoo on your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I was gonna do a little golden flourish around the edge, but I got completely rinsed for time that one. I forgot which way the mask faced. But look, I'll take that dub.
Let's just keep doing
Is
this
that
all day, to
two
be
out-
honest.
2 out of
Why do we
3?
need games?
Yeah,
Not
2 out
bad.
of 3.
Not
That
bad.
couch got
Let's
all
just keep
3.
drawing.
Kitty, could I please have your whiteboard?
Of
No,
course.
yes.
Wait.
Pass to me. Thank you. We're done.
Yeah, I'll wait, Skimmy. It's
We're
fine.
done. Oh, wait, wait, did you want to keep drawing?
I'm just
Kitty?
drawing, mate.
He's recreating his masterpiece from last week, which he rubbed out.
Oh, because he tried to do the cute things under the eyes and made it look really
yeah,
creepy.
and then no,
Yeah.
he made
Wait,
it.
which way? Which way was it again?
It was
This
like
way?
little
Down the
dashes.
secret
This way?
secret
yeah,
pen.
yeah.
Well,
It's like
while
putting
you
a
guys are
dash.
doing that, I'm going to tell the audience what they're
So
doing for us today
kawaii.
from the fans
eyebrows.
at LCO on Twitter. And we want to know, do you go to bed on a loss or do you have to go to bed on a win, no matter how big that loss streak's looking? If you're 10 in a row, 20 in a row, can you sleep? or do you need to keep going? Do you need to sacrifice your sleepy time just to get a dub on the board? Rusty,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts?
I do not go to bed a loser. I will not go to bed a loser.
Okay,
I will stay awake.
You will sleep as a loser.
I will not sleep as a loser ever. I will win. I've played ranked and lost so many in a row that ranked turned off, Mac, and I just switched to ARAMs until I won.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been
See
there.
that?
I can't imagine going to bed angry and staring at the roof.
Oh, that's what Skimmy wanted. Can we get a quick zoom on the Skimmy's masterpiece?
Look at that, guys.
If you drew
feel
that
powerful.
before bed, would
Those are
you
angry
go
eyebrows.
again, or
That's
would
what
you
you
count
gotta
say.
that as a W?
He's firmly ooh-wooing. Ooh-wooing?
Is that
Ooh,
the
ooh, wooing.
is that the
wooing.
face? There's no hands. Skimmy.
I'm ooh-wooing you right now. Ooh-woo. Angry ooh-woo. You will find me
It
cute.
truly is 2023, and I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell's going on. But either way, we have
you go.
some submissions from you guys already
That's what I wanted
from
to
the
do.
fans. So let's see who
Give
has
it.
helped us out here. We have Nat. We love Nat. We miss Nat. How you doing, Nat? I'd rather wake up tired than go to bed a loser. Is that not what you just said?
Yep.
Yep. There you go. Beautiful.
And let me tell you, that's a quote for a reason.
Uh-huh.
It's just missing a couple of expletives.
Ah,
Oh.
like what?
Oh, no.
Where's
No.
my beat button?
Absolutely baited. Now, thank you so much, Nat T, international superstar, for that. Who have we got as number 2? We have Carbon.
This is the
Okay.
guy I
Is
met
this the
at
guy
the
at the door?
Yeah, this
Wait.
is the guy stopping me from coming into the studio because
Wait,
he said I
Kitty.
did bad in my placements.
Are you wearing his sunglasses?
Yes, I stole
Did you
Carbon's
mog Carbon?
sunglasses. I staunched him.
You staunch him.
You just said, come at me, bruh.
I
But
should
he
have
said
staunched
this isn't
him.
a problem for winners. So does that mean he's got a problem because he lost to you at the door today?
Well, this tweet was obviously made before I beat him at the
Ah.
door
Of course, of course.
in the 1v1, of course.
Beautiful. Well, let's see who else Kitty wants to 1v1. What's the third tweet that you guys have sent in? I'm loving that we've got so many submissions this early on. Thank you all so much for this. Deadly G. I call it a night when I'm tired. It's irrelevant if it ended on a win or a loss. But secretly, you can't really end with a loss.
Exactly. So you're not
true.
tired until you win. That's it.
So
Insane
he's
sense.
saving face, but he's capping.
Yeah, he's hiding the truth. Well, he's
Stop
not hiding it, is he?
the cap.
Skimmy, what about you?
Mate, I'm in a lobby with Rusty, and we will just go until 4 o'clock in
Right.
the morning until we get that
You
done.
found that out last night, Mac.
Yeah, I already know how.
We
We
will
were
gain-
winning. We were mostly winning. Anyway, look,
Until
we
we
got
started
we got
losing.
2 more to have a look at. Let's see who the next culprit is on the Twitter sphere. It is Lisa.
Lisa.
We love Lisa. Lisa and me go to the same noodle places, apparently. Look, found that one out not too long ago. Only sleeping when I'm tired of winning. That's so true. That's so true, King.
All he does is win.
So
Check him
relatable.
out.
He's got that winner's queue. Aren't you overdue for that, Kitty?
Also an 80 carry game in there.
Yeah, look, I'm still waiting on that winner's queue. Could happen tomorrow, could happen a week later, could happen next
You
year.
in these lobbies?
Okay.
I was on the receiving end of these lobbies, perhaps. You probably can see me somewhere on the receiving end.
Well, we got Nadette coming in as well. Can't end on a loss. Tag and Rusty. You have so many fans, Rusty. What's going
Very
on, huh?
Many
passionate
fangirls.
about not losing.
You've preached.
Yeah, it's actually like sermons every week. If you play video games with me and we lose, we're playing again until we win.
Are you a sore loser?
It's sore loser.
Yeah, are you a sore loser? Or are you a happy loser? Because we have, I think it's a social media guy, Cookie. He's a sore winner.
He's
Always-
just sore,
He's
isn't
sore.
he? He's
Sore.
just sore.
I think your sore losing is like you're locking Alistair, and then like the drop happens, and you're like, I'm engaging.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
bored.
The
right?
music changes.
Right? It's
You're
like I'm playing angry gaming music that's metal, that's hard, so whatever it is. It's AP Alistair. He's engaging when the drop happens. We're winning.
It's true.
Sorry, I just-
That is the
That-
tech.
I didn't treat it right.
It's
Thanks.
getting buffed, by the way.
Thanks, Dan. No
AP
shit.
Alistair.
How good is that next match
AP
going to be?
Alistair coming back.
Ooh, melee support.
What are you guys talking about?
Melee support.
AP Alistair making a return.
Nah.
And AP
Nah.
mid Rakan. Trust me,
Nah,
AP mid Rakan on the patch change.
nah.
You've got 2
We're
weeks
gonna
until
see
Freak
Varus
nerfs
support
it.
before that.
Nah, not happening. Never
Bring
happening.
back
For
Alistair
real.
jungle.
For real.
Guys,
Let's bring back Nautilus jungle. Let's bring it all
thank you
back.
for all those from the fan submissions. Of course, it's time to move on to talk about League of Legendos. Let's talk about our first game. It's Direwolves, it's GZ, but we're talking about GZ first, who have impressed us in some regards, but unfortunately have been stomped a couple of times already because win conditions usually that bot lane skimmy, and they have not had a chance to shine yet.
No, not as much as they would have hoped for, right? I'd love to see Emphis and Gooby really find some momentum together, some way to really project themselves onto the map. We've seen Gooby at the forefront of trying to engage, but a lot of the time, it's him going in on his own and the rest of his team not really being in a position to try and benefit him. Mid-jungle being ever so important right now, especially if you can roam the map to assist elsewhere. We've seen that prevalently from, say, Dongy with the most insane kill participation. So if you can unlock mid lane, you can go down to a very experienced, synergistic bot lane of Dante and Bulldog that spent a lot of time together, and you can look to try and unlock them on the map, whether that be a Lucian Nami or a Zeri kind of composition. So I'd love to see Emphis really come into his own, and if he is your stereotypical mage player, find some way to control that lane and unlock it.
Well, look, we got to talk about the Dire Wolves as well, of course. Undefeated so far this split, and they're all looking handsome as ever. Of course, Chaz, Pradith, and Decoy, they're coming in. It's the reunited party of three from the old PGG that went over to MSI. And I'm hoping to see what they are capable of yet again today.
The three undefeated Musketeers are making their return up against GZ, and they have been the most, well, they've defeated Chiefs so far, and Chiefs, if we throw it back to 2022, they were a roster that never lost. And, we probably didn't expect this to be the outcome from last night. Only Mac went for Dials, where I believe it was just more Chiefs making mistakes than Dials playing extremely well, because they weren't as proactive as I would have wished for. But of course, we do need to highlight that their comp overall for the past 3 games have all been heavy centered towards 5v5s, team fighting. So I'd like to see more diversity as we come into the upcoming splits, because you need just to have another side of just extremely having a lot of team fighting, because Chiefs are really good at that as well.
Someone who did play really well, though, was Zoranus when it came to his late game team fighting. Which is a very exciting thing to look at, right? Because Poltron and Zoranus, while remaining with Dire Wolves, have effectively joined the trio of Chaz, Pradith, and Decoy. And so they do have a point to prove for themselves. And if he's going to show up, be such a monumental force when it comes to team fighting, then he should be able to slot in really nicely with the rest of the team. And that should happen quickly.
And arguably as well, look, one of the plays of the day was made by Poltron, that Baron Smite steal that saved the game for Dire Wolves. It could have been downhill from there if Baron did go to the Chiefs. And he, look, arguably when you look at the roster, he's probably the smallest name on the roster in terms of mechanical skill that you expect. Everyone else, look, they've been around the bush, they've been around for a long time, and they are big names. So he's got a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's still performing in the jungle. Yet to not impress us, right? This split, at least.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy Poltron in the current jungle meta, where it's early game skirmishing, helping around the team and providing resources, especially towards that bot lane and early dragon fights. But Chaz on the Sakali, I think he has been playing a lot of roaming mages like the Rise, and I believe it was the Talia, yes. And those two performances were extremely well played out. But on the Sakali, he looked a bit shaky as well. And during those team fights, he would just get caught, and sometimes the execution just wasn't there. But that's something to be concerned of for the side of Dials if Chaz's pull is banned out.
Now, where's the win condition coming from for Ground Zero at the moment? Because look, there's a few names that we're still keeping our eyes on, thinking they have to show us a little bit more if Ground Zero are to have a good split or at least have a good group stage. So who are we expecting to show us some more today against Dire Wolves?
We have been seeing a lot of Graves, specifically in the LCK and I believe LEC. They love their Graves, and we do know that Gooby loves his full clearing junglers like the Graves, like the Kayn. So I want to see at least one game of this where Emphis goes back onto the default of a utility Karma, where we saw the Radiant Virtue come on for that pick as well. It did relatively well, but your jungler is a Wukong that was constantly getting invaded back from week 1, where he wasn't able to carry as a jungler. So that could be a dynamic that can be introduced in the upcoming weeks. But yes, Graves, please, Jason, Gooby.
Give us Kayn.
We actually have him here to have a chat to as well. Let's just bring him on. Gooby, mate, how you feeling? Did you hear Kitty's message for you?
Yeah, I did. I'm really glad that Graves has become meta recently, especially in LCK and LEC. So hoping I get to pick him one day.
Of course, and I do need to mention that it's been 3 years since you've made your appearance in the OCS. So what made you want to return and debut in the LCO this year?
Honestly, I've always had people rooting for me to go pro, but I've always been really indecisive. But after playing the Chief Scouting Grounds last year, it kind of really sparked inside of me, where I was like, oh, like it's kind of like a one lifetime opportunity to go pro. So just really want to experience it this year and see where it takes me.
Now, you've got Poltron on the other side of the rift today. Have you been, tracking his jungle path and doing all the prep work, knowing exactly what Direwolves are sort of aiming for? Is that all going well for you? Or are you guys just more focused on, what you're doing, more focused on how you guys rotate and how, like, the little things that you have to work on being mostly a new team?
Honestly, as a team, when we watch Direwolves, they're a really solid team. But I think GZ, we've crafted some sneaky strats that we might want to pull out today to take a win against them.
And of course, before we end the interview, you are going against Poltron like Max said, but there will be 2 Shaco players in the upcoming match. And I know I did you dirty earlier by saying Poltron had that slight advantage. I do want to apologize for it, but I want to hear it from you. Who was the better Shaco out of you 2?
Honestly, sorry, Poltron, but I really do think I'm the better Shaco player, so...
Alright, well thank you Gooby. We will be anticipating this Shaco 1v1 in the future so dearly. And of course, best of luck up against the Direwolves.
Thank you.
Shaco show match with special guest Juves in Shaco cosplay coming back to cast it. Ooh.
Post-game.
Ooh.
Short in the winners interview.
Is it a good or bad thing to be the better Shaco?
The better backstabber.
Yeah. Could be worse. Could be considered a worse thing. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I think Juves is the best Shaco. That's all I'm thinking of.
Your Shaco's pretty good.
Got like 3 kills.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that game.
I got
That was
nuts.
pretty
Best
good. You had a lot of fun, let's be honest.
that was my first time Shaco.
Yeah, it's
it
not
was
bad,
it was great. Show
Yeah.
matches. How about them, huh? Remember them? I don't. Either way, look, let's talk about side select, of course. GZ won the flip, and they are picking red side, so they want the counter pick. They're going to be picking last, and who do you think they're going to be saving the last pick for?
That's actually a tough question. Maybe Gooby. I don't think that's the most likely. The interesting thing for me about the way that I want Ground Zero to play this out is I think the Bulldog's in a position to be the Ashe of the team, right? And like this Ashe Varus bot lane that we're seeing around everywhere globally right now, I think actually is something that could work well for this team because that unlocks Bulldog to be a part of the communication of the team when it comes to engages and looking for angles and then grouping with the team, right? Which kind of, it puts Bulldog and Gooby on the same screen. So I think that's something that I would like to see from them, which means bot lane wouldn't be getting a late pick. So it most likely would be a solo laner. So I would like to see it on one of them.
Okay. So you think, I don't know, Ashe doesn't strike me as a Bulldog champ, but...
Oh, you're so wrong about that
You got a lot to learn
one.
about Bulldog, yeah. He's a
You do know
surprising
his
guy.
name is
Okay.
Bull Ash, right? That's his nickname.
Bull Ashe.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You know what?
Yeah. Why are you
Yeah.
laughing? It is.
All right.
I know the source.
Okay.
Was there a post on Twitter yesterday of solo queue? I think it was Why Not in solo queue, and you could just tell who Bulldog was. You know how like all the names are anonymous now. Like you're a Krug, you're a Gromp.
Yeah.
You just know exactly who he is because he comes in and says the same thing every
Yep.
single time.
Yeah.
So
The car?
Classic.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could just pick him instantly. Very
Beautiful.
recognizable man.
Any jungle. Yeah. You heard it there first. Insane. But look, this game, it's going to be crazy in the bot lane. You know, Praedyth, of course, always pretty good for at least a death in mid lane. We've heard that story, rattle off time and time again at this point. But in terms of, look, Decoy coming back, he and Bulldog, I don't think they've faced off before, have they?
They haven't.
No.
I don't think they have.
Because he would have departed to go to Brazil. And then took a break, yeah, and then Bulldog came in.
Yeah, so it's their first time meeting. We'll see how their rotations go. Who's better? Who's more experienced? Of course, that's answered with Decoy. But Bulldog, he's now kind of leading the team. But let's hear from you guys how you think this game's going to go. Def fan vote time. Get those Twitch points in. Up there somewhere. Put them on one of the teams. Look, put them on GZ. You don't have a huge chance, but you have a big chance of making big Twitch points, I'll tell you that much, because there's probably a lot of Direwolves Twitch pointees in the chat
Especially
today.
after yesterday.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big dubs.
All of them would have made a lot of points off of those Chiefs Twitch pointers, of
I think
course.
JB himself made like 1 million.
Did he?
I'm
think JB
pretty sure he made 1 million or
He's balling.
1.7.
Did he take a picture?
He did take a picture. It's on Twitter right now.
Oh,
You
I
can
need
check.
that. We need
Classic
that.
underdog Gamba.
Throw it in from the fans, and he's like, look, always end on a win. Just post the 1 million Twitch points. Either way, let's have a look at our predictions as well, how we think this game's going to go. Direwolves, Stonks are rising from the couch, it seems. I don't think it's going to change too much going into the next page. No. Okay, so we're all on the same page. And I can't wait for, special guest Max tomorrow to come in because we can finally ask him about all of his predictions for all of the games and the full recap. We won't have to say a word.
We're going to sit here. We do nothing.
Yeah.
We've talked enough the last 2 days. Maximize can do it all on his own.
True.
Yeah.
What can't he
for
do?
that.
What kind? I mean, he's tall, he's handsome, he's
can't he
chatty,
do?
he's high elo. I mean, bro. I mean, what else do you need? The perfect human.
What a man, huh?
But my question is, can he beat Zoranus in that top lane 1v1? Because I don't think Tron can.
I think Max only plays Karma top lane, right?
Oh,
He's
yuck.
tilted by that.
From what I remember,
He
yeah.
never wants to hear about that again.
Remember when he
Camille.
got, he got that one Dare MVP?
He's
that
fallen
time?
very low.
He was so happy.
Lee Sin and Karma top. Let's go.
Pleading for that one. Now, of course, remind you guys before we jump on into the game, of course, that you guys get to vote for the Dare MVP. That's towards the end of the game or when the game finishes, of course. So keep your eye on the game. Figure out who's done the best, who's played the best game, who's had the most influence in the team's win or on the team's loss, trying to not make it a loss. Anyway, there's going to be a couple of options up there. You put your points on. It's not even points, right? It's just you just select it and let us know who you think the MVP is, and then we give it to the Dare MVP to them. And they get the W.
And
Big
we're watching
smile
you.
on
No,
their face.
no fan favorites. No rigging these votes. We're onto you, aren't we?
You're onto them.
I'm onto
I'll
them.
Timmy's
just
on
watch.
here.
I'll be casting and looking at Twitch chat and still doing my job.
Yeah.
But I'm onto you. Are you not onto them?
Yeah, but what are you going to do after you...
Nothing.
Oh,
I'm just going to try and threaten them with empty
empty
words.
threats?
Empty
Say
threats.
oi in
That's
DMs.
exactly what we love around here.
We do
Empty
love,
threats.
We do love a few of those.
Empty emotions, like Kitty after the terrible, terrible Yumi funeral she went to earlier. Either way, she's going to tell me about that now in the green room because Champ Select's ready for game 1 of the day.
Goody. Well, let's kick it off then. Let's see what happens in this affair because as we mentioned before, Ground Zero have had the absolute hardest start to their journey here in 2023. New organization, new players. As for Dire, we'll still want to keep up the perfect split, don't they? 3-0, and they'll be looking to make it forward tonight.
Yeah, no point losing now. You've just taken out one of the big dogs, so
Yep.
back that one up and continue the super week in a fantastic way for yourselves. Getting into this draft, very early on, Direwolves have banned away both champions that are named for the bot lane of Ground Zero, so that's a tragedy,
Cassante band
to
though.
say the least. Yeah, Rise as well as Maokai and Cassante, so 3 just very strong meta champions. No one role specifically targeted, just strong meta in general.
Yep.
To be taken away here by Ground Zero Gaming. Leaves open the Lucian Nami still as a possibility if that's where Direwolves want to go. I would come as no surprise now. Some regions will pick the Nami away from Direwolves and have like Nami with an ADC. Some regions will just slam a Nautilus here and say, you want Lucian, you're going to have a Nami. Hook champions, beat Nami, play aggressively and take it down.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen that yet from the LCO with the singular exception of Aladoric.
Yes, especially last year when everybody was still playing Enchanters, he was the only one to say, no, Leona or Nautilus, that is the play here. And it wouldn't be amiss if that were to come out nice and early. There's Gooby playing homage to the fact that both himself and, as you can see their portrait on your screen right now, are phenomenal Shaco players. But the Maokai that they banned away, it's only been Gooby that's played it. Obviously, saw Mayfarm play it yesterday. We can understand why it's so strong. And likewise with the Elise, these are players that would love their early aggression. And I feel like we're definitely going in that direction once again. I mean, certainly they can play to things like your Jarvans, like your Vise, like your Sejuanis, but I feel like they would love to go for that more skirmish-heavy early game aggression.
Do like a little bit of early game aggression to be sure. Ezreal locked in here with the Karma actually, to me, indicates bot lane duo.
Yeah.
We know that Emphas can play the Karma. We've seen the flexibility of that, and if Gooby gets something like a Graves, then it can still be great. Ezreal, not too bad with the Graves comp, because he can sit at a further back distance, right, and play self-peel, self-sustain.
Yep.
Karma gets to work with those solo laners, but Ezreal Karma itself is a powerful lane. Karma, I mean, it's a combo. It's a known combo. Karma covers for Ezreal's weaknesses, but here we are again. The flex continues. The question mark remains. Is it Ezreal in an engage support? Or is it Ezreal Karma, and then we're picking Graves just because we like Graves on Gooby?
Yeah, Gooby is certainly a big fan of the Graves, as Kitty mentioned already. So could definitely work in two different directions, right? The Karma in the bot lane, as you've already mentioned, or the Karma in the mid lane to try and support and allow this Graves really to be the star of the show, at least for the early portions of this game. They do manage to lock themselves in with that Lucian Nami. Azir now being denied away, and quick response is the Syndra, a champion that Emphas has already played so far. If he wanted to unlock that control mage arsenal, question does become now, what does Ground Zero really feel threatened by? Surely you're just looking at Chaz and saying we can't allow him to feel too comfortable with this Sejuani engage.
I mean, there's still plenty of options up, right? So one thing here is, like, you're seeing a bunch of Silas players. Cassidy comes up naturally in conversation. We've seen Chaz play Talia. It's always going to be a champion that we look towards. Akali was something that they played yesterday.
Yep.
We've even seen some Lucians, I think, depending on the team flex towards mid lane, depending on the matchup. So again, if we want to go down the rabbit hole of flexible picks, those are things worth considering, but no surprises with the bans that we're going to get from Ground Zero here. The question is, the Direwolves continue to go down this pathway. Emphas does pretty much exclusively play those AP mages, and you could force him onto the Karma by getting rid of most of these picks.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what would be left up and available that he might decide to go for, but the Ari's been now denied away.
Right now, his options are Victor, if he wants to be a scaling AP mage.
Yeah, otherwise you're looking what, Orianna and so on. So
Ori, yeah.
certainly some
Don't know if he plays Cassiopeia.
semblance of control. The Greg has been hovered so far. Trina's already played this one. That would give you the AP you'd need elsewhere on the map.
Yeah. Almost assuming that, like, they're going to be picking the Jax, given that Casante's banned and Jax has been left untouched. I mean, Zoranus has a pretty wide champion pool. He can, at any point, just say it's a Teemo angle for me and,
Yeah.
and do that with confidence. So you never exactly know what he's going to pick if he's feeling inspired that day until he picks it.
Unless we're just going to run things back again and say, you know, yeah, Carly, wasn't really feeling it yesterday. But we're going to find a bit of sweet revenge. Just one of those games where you're proving to yourself more so than anything.
And Karma can pretty freely go mid here now as well, right? You have the ability to play lane out pretty nicely. Good wave clear. Akali can't keep up with that. That's some good early prio if Graves wants to get aggressive and invade into the Sejuani. Still waiting to see if that is going to be their choice, and it certainly is. The Camille that was hovered earlier is just going to be locked in. They wanted to give Zoranus 20 more seconds to think about it.
Just going to say, yeah, just wanted a little bit more time to deliberate over that decision and decide really what do they do. But it does open up the ability for them to play that 1-4. Or even a 1-3-1 potentially.
I wouldn't be mad at a Nautilus last pick for Ground Zero, just throwing that one out there, but it is going to be the LeBlanc that's picked in here. So goes mid. That puts the Karma bot. That is a pretty solid DPS source into what is a singular carry composition. And if Ground Zero gets advantages or leads, it's a lot harder to play something like the Lucian or the Nami. Because, yeah, you have some sustain there, but the burst from LeBlanc is a little bit overwhelming. It's not just poke, it is all in, 100-0 potential kill on decoy at all times, and Praetor would have to dash to survive. But I think there is a bit of reliance there on hitting those item spikes, being in a good game state. Direwolves have a lot of, I would say, overwhelming force in mid-game when they come to those fights and skirmishes. Ground Zero nullifying tanky or AP style top laner, but mostly nullifying. My eyes go to Gooby here and seeing what he can do with Emphas. Because LeBlanc's usually picked as a combo mid lane mage, a burst mage that has like a Xin Zhao that comes through. But, I mean, it's free setup for a Graves to get in just the same.
Yeah. Xin, Lee Sin, whatever it may be. Somebody that's going to get yourself into the fray, things to combo and blow them up very quickly, as you say. It'll be interesting to see how they can look to open up this map, because it's been a hot minute since Bulldog has played the Karma. We know it got relentlessly banned towards the end of the season last year and had to veer his head into a different direction, but it's good to see that one come back out. And from what we've seen, a lot of these Karma players, right, and especially because you have an Ezreal that can play so passively if need be into a very aggressive duo, wouldn't be amiss to see the trifecta happen where you just pop your head into mid when the Graves does decide to go for a gank and really get the ball rolling, try and find some momentum and shut down the Sejuani.
Wouldn't be too surprised to see the goal of Ground Zero being get towards mid-game, get towards mid lane.
Yeah.
And then just play the game out through that middle section of the map, you know, unleash Emphas to be aggressive. Dante should be mostly safe. However, if there's one thing that we can say, not just here locally in the LCO, but around the world, is that a Lucian Nami will hit their one item spike, they'll walk in mid lane, and it's not safe. There is no such thing as a safe space when they are on the Rift.
Certainly isn't. Lucian certainly can travel through space and time and pop up where you least expect it and really punish you, especially if that Summoner Flash is down. Well, let's kick off. It's day number 2, week 2 here in the LCO. And a chance to see the very informed Direwolves continue that streak, having just taken down Chiefs late last night. Against Ground Zero, still searching for that very first win.
Very early on into this one, no sweepers to be picked up. Zoranus has found Gooby. Chaz is here. numbers disadvantaged Gimme, but they are just going to try and dissuade them, push them back. I think that's good information to kick the game off. Bulldog was also spotted throwing a Mantra Q into the red buff area, so nothing crazy. Just a bit of testing of the waters. Zoran is going to try and find if they have started the red buff. Instead, we'll just place a ward. That ward could provide 0 information, or it could provide something very valuable.
Yeah, it certainly does depend as to how Gooby plays this one. As to what information that will ascertain. In terms of ease of execution, which way do you veer? Because I see the Direwolves comp and you understand it, right? Lucian Nami wants to be aggressive. Sejuani wants to play to one of those solo lanes to empower them with the passive. And certainly Camille can group up or can just be there to be a menace in the side lanes and punish a team that's not too well rehearsed as to answering those waves.
Yeah, I'll always look at a side that has a Camille and a Sejuani and say the execution's just easier for them. Lucian Nami's execution's brain dead easy once you start hitting that one item spike, because Lucian itemizes for the purpose of having a Nami just to do extra damage. It's not about having to build 100% crit, ice skating around a team fight. It's a big ultimate, high burst, right? An initial upfront DPS. Nami is very annoying to deal with, like you're seeing. Gooby does get spotted by the ward, does a 3-camp clear straight towards top lane, doesn't go through the river. So good little prep and research done there by Direwolves, knowing exactly where he walks.
Certainly is, and that's not only good information just for Zoranus to evade a potential gank, but also for Poltron to protect his side of the jungle. Praetor here being relentless, expending a ton of mana in the process as well, especially once that buff is available. Decoy is saying, you're free to unlock, and Dante is chugging through those potions.
I mean, they hit level 2, they see the Graves topside. It's a free reign, free opportunity to be aggressive, to go forwards, and Ground Zero, of course, knowing their own junglers on the other side of the map and having not seen the Sejuani. Can't be certain on exactly where Poltron is just yet as they go forwards.
Dashes the flash engage. That is a beautiful summoner heal having to be burnt there, even though the ignite went out. And that's an ignite coming from Praetor as opposed to Decoy.
Emphas and Gooby on the way down. I think Praetor and Decoy would like to just clear this wave and probably disappear, but the next wave's so awkward, they're going forwards.
He's all in. He's absolutely pressed the W key. He wants to go forward. He wants to find that kill. He wants to do something here.
He's clearing the wave.
At least just shove the wave, and he just wants to deny himself to the turret. At this point, he knows it's a foregone conclusion. I'm dead to right. So is my support. And that's first blood there for Ground Zero. Now top lane, great flash, but a flash to follow. Zoranus isn't going to find the hook shot stun.
Yeah,
He's going to burn a flash.
I think the flash was a little bit late there from Zoranus. Doesn't get the buffer of the actual stun, just flashes after the fact. Small margin. I don't know if it would have resulted in a kill outright, but it would have been a lot closer than what we saw. Praetor in bot lane knew that he was dead to rights and just chose to clear the wave, just chose to try and take it out, maybe reset it, crash it like you're seeing, so that at least when they get back it starts to bounce towards them. And then Bulldog ultimately goes for an ignite on him, which feels like it was unnecessary on an already dead target.
Sure.
But they get the kill, they get what they're after, and just punishing the fact that Direwolves overstayed. Use those summoners aggressively. They do deserve to be punished.
Dante, unfortunately, is the one really forced to lick his wounds, doesn't receive a kill nor an assist. Comes back to base, or from base rather, with a tear. In more ways than one.
Just like the Leandros I drew. It isn't going to be in a point of power anytime soon. You don't really pick the Ezreal Karma to be overwhelmingly strong other than level 1, and if a Lucian Nami can get through that, then you just kind of coast in lane.
Sure. Yep.
The issue is that they're going to run into is the way these waves have been crashing and building is they are at risk of dying, they are at risk of being ganked. Dante just pressed E forwards. However, they know that fact. They've called the reinforcements here, and Poltron is about to find 2 of them.
Oh, it's a surprise. I think he's just got it out of vision. In they go, though, and Gooby realizes that's a bit of a mistake, but actually, it is a surprise that goes their way. Smokescreen goes down, despite him dropping to 50%. It is them deleting Poltron from the map.
Really good play so far from mid and jungle of Ground Zero. Emphas against Chaz, against this Akali, has more control of the wave, has more ability to leave. Falls down a couple of CS. Sure, he's about 1 wave behind, but he's now 1-0-1 and relieving pressure in bottom lane, whilst also pressuring Decoy and Praetor. Gooby moving with him as well. It's working wonders for the team so far. They've found themselves a sizable gold advantage.
That's great to see, and it's what I was really hoping to see as well. unlock that map and be active on the map to then influence your bot lane, which is exactly what happened. And now looking to try and answer back to the pressure, which is Lucian Nami. Bring a bit of poke and harass themselves to get close to some plates.
It does feel like a bit of a byproduct of the aggression that came out of Direwolves, just of their own accord, right? They chose to go for the 2v2. They were one hit off perhaps, but the fact that Ground Zero weather that storm, wait for their reinforcements, wait for the team play. This is a much improved look on what we've seen from them in the first week. It feels like they are firing in a much more correct manner. And Direwolves getting punished.
And it's one of those questions I'll throw out there which really doesn't have an answer, but you start to wonder, is this a proof of such a tough schedule to kickstart your campaign, or is it much more a case of things have just worked out well in scrims this week? You're just feeling more confident, more at ease with one another.
Might have to hold that thought until Tron finds himself out of here or very dead, Skimmy.
Yep. He's got the body slam, but where does he body slam to? In their face. He's buying time. He's delaying the inevitable. Ultimately, it's all about giving the kill towards Doranus. Poltron just wants to be in the area, just wants to give him a high five as he drives on by. And there's Camille that picks up the killing blow.
It was slow and it was arduous, but it was going specifically to Zoranus, like you said, so that's why it does take longer than perhaps otherwise needed. But money into the correct hands, into the correct pockets of Direwolves, and they bounce back a little bit off what happened bot side. No cross maps to be seen, however, from Ground Zero here either. They are just getting their resets in. We'll see if they choose to make a play themselves. I think to the Ground Zero conversation as well, their strength of schedule has been very harsh on them. To be sure, they're playing the top 3 teams back to back to back to kick off their debut season in the LCO. And I don't think it's about an improvement by trial by fire or anything. I think they also simultaneously come in not going to be playing their best. Young players, inexperienced players, nerves behind them perhaps as well. New responsibilities for them. You know, Bulldog having to come in, perhaps be a leader role. Those types of things take time.
Not to mention some of the things that Dante said in his interview yesterday as well, like the differences between high-ranked solo queue compared to a scrim environment or just a competitive match, right? The things that you wouldn't really understand from watching, or
things that you don't think about.
Absolutely, all the little things for sure. But they certainly do all add up.
I think the biggest thing as well for me, like solo queue versus competitive, is actually setting up properly for things. You know, recalling earlier, getting 2 rounds of vision set up if necessary to secure objectives, planning waves with your team so that you crash and dive at the same time, like you're seeing from Ground Zero right now if they choose to.
Here we go, we're on once again. The full ultimate combo coming out there from Gooby, flashing out of that glacial prison. He would have been in prison for a second had it not been for that summoner choice. Memphis retaliating back also in the mid lane as he planted himself towards the top side Raptors. Just looking to cut off the angle of Chaz Worth to pop his head into bot lane. So Gooby going to stay around for a hot minute now, guaranteed that they find at least a plate for their efforts. Estes wave does crash on through.
Dante and Bulldog just being super annoying, throwing out those Mystic shots. Just keeping them at bay, keeping them busy. Poltron's still here. Ground Zero know that he was in the area. But also Dante running himself very low on mana, has to keep those cookies running. And it does seem like they're about to put themselves into a reset. Redeploy back towards bot lane, you would expect. But keep in mind during all of this, there is a Rift held up and available. Neither team's going towards just yet.
Certainly haven't been too interested in that prospect as it stands so far. Much more focused on this laning strength, whereas Ground Zero have managed to sneak themselves in that first dragon. I guess it does really ponder the question when we talked about identities of teams. It's one that we're a little bit confused on as to how you'd sum up what Direwolves are all about so far, because we have seen him play the Lucian Nami, we have seen him be very aggressive in the bot lane, but Chaz has given us a little bit of everything. He'll be aggressive, he'll be roam heavy. Poltron always there as a facilitator, and Zoran is just like, I'm keen to punch on, but as you mentioned during the drafting phase, at any given moment he'll say, that's an Urgot, here's a Vayne. I'm playing Malphite.
Yeah, they are one of the hardest teams to pin down in an individual style, unlike the other two, as we are getting a bit of a skirmish in the river. Herald already at 1500 HP and dead, and Poltron not going to be there in time. Very nicely dissuaded by Ground Zero, bringing their bot lane towards mid, stopping them from just going straight towards the river. And this is a point that we set in draft, Skimmy, where they may want to be. They haven't got their full items yet. They're not feeling too strong just yet. But any glimpses of opportunities for them to go straight into mid lane, post up, and start unlocking the Gooby Bulldog combo, that will be a pretty dangerous duo.
certainly will be, especially now that Gooby has the Umbral Glaive online. Vision control is going to be that much easier to achieve, especially when they can spawn free wards as a result of clearing them. Control the highway, which is this river, keep tabs as to where Poltron is, and really deny that combo between these two mid laners, or two solo laners, I should say, that the Sejuani could look to assist. And it'll be interesting to see what Direwolves look like when they are playing from behind, because that hasn't really been a discussion we've ever had. Down 2k at 12 minutes in.
I mean, that and how to Ground Zero play from ahead.
That
We
too.
haven't had a chance to see
too
that
as well.
one either. It feels like the natural path for teams, especially new teams, is just going to be to prioritize going for the objective. It becomes harder and harder to successfully dive structures when you feel like they're getting stronger or there's more risk involved, right? Like the later in the game it is, the harder it is to feel confident about just diving 100-0 on someone unless you've got massive, overwhelming number advantages.
Sure.
So it tends to come down to just playing Herald and Drake. So that's the most likely pathway here for Ground Zero if they want to keep trying to stay ahead in the game. For Direwolves, I don't think it's about staying afloat. I think it's about just getting to points where you feel stronger. Mid-game, obviously, a massive part of the game for them, right? The one items in mid of a Lucian and Nami. Putting Chaz in a side lane where he feels comfortable with freedom to move is going to be the ultimate goal for them. And the Camilla, who's just been quietly achieving in top lane, got a gank from Poltron. Man on your screen, they got themselves one kill into the hands of Zoranus. Is going to scale into this game and be a menace. Very difficult to survive if he gets those items and gets fed, and he can also threaten the split push angle. So,
and I think that, for me, is the biggest talking point that we have to look forward to and be excited about for the side of Direwolves, is that Ground Zero right now are profiting from the fact that we are in that rigid state of gameplay where you have to stay to your lanes, right? 15 minutes onwards, that is when you start to see things like the Lucian truly come online, picture a tent in mid lane and say, you're not moving, you can't do anything about it. But how do you handle the pressure if Chaz and Zoranus start to find those kills in the solo lanes? You just can't answer back. You've got to break up the 5-man squad. And it's not anywhere near as easy now to guarantee that you're playing for these objectives, to get that early Dragon condition.
I think when it comes to these objective fights, the major catalyst for success is going to be Emphas, and if he can put down damage onto appropriate targets. He has got the Ludens completed.
Here we go.
Big Ezreal ult.
Poltron jumps in, Bulldog is the target, instant flash away, cops the ignite as well, inside is the Shroud, there is the Tether, there is Chaz, going for the perfect execution, finds it, removes what he needs, and now they look for more. Emphas answering back by taking out Decoy, supports are dead from this one, that's a disengage, that's Chaz and Praetor getting the hell out of dodge, but as now Zoranus looking to try and win this game on his own. You can split push, but I can team fight too, don't forget what a Camille can do. Dante wants that kill, he'll die for it seemingly, because look at the damage of that Q2. This time, still looking for that hook shot, but Tron just a little bit too quick to move.
The first battle of the game where everyone had, or most people had, their big item spikes on the board. Divine Sunderer comes in huge for Zoranus, massive team fight DPS. The person I was looking at was Emphas, because he goes on decoy here, disappears, and is now out of the fight for a while. Lets Direwolves come in, start to collapse, they take out Bulldog, right? They effectively remove Dante into being just a poke-based champion. And Tron griefs Emphas here by saying, oh, you thought you didn't get this LeBlanc. How about you come and kill this LeBlanc, and then I'll continue the team fight. Tried to be disruptive, and the chaotic nature of the Gragas ultimate can backfire. Dante still finds his angle to get back in with a couple of those resets, get some extra mana into his pockets, and does good work for the team. But a very tragic Gragas cask to perhaps make things harder for Emphas, who also I think had some more aggressive options and angles there that he didn't take.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because you could see that he had to try and salvage the kill with the stall tin as a result, really, of the collateral damage, not actually one-shotting the target that was low, just getting the wrong angle on it.
I also, like, in reality, I think he played a good line where he was defending in the river, but stopped playing it when he was pressured. Where if it, like, say you're Zeka in that situation, which is always a nice person to pretend you are, an assassin player for the LCK, I think he kills the Nami and gets out there, you know? Doesn't need to tank the Camille ult 5 seconds later after not having a window there. Just something to think about. I may be wrong, but the VODs will not lie, unlike I do.
Certainly will be an interesting VOD discussion, one of those moments where you're thinking, we'll talk about that Gragas ult later. Right now, let's focus on this match.
Yeah.
Still up 1,000 gold is Ground Zero. That is a great indication as to just how strong Direwolves can be when grouped up. And now, Zoranus that was 1-0 in laning phase is now 3-0 when you're thinking 2-item Camille starts to become 3 items and you're terrified on every front.
Yeah, Dante starts shaking in his boots just at the prospect of what Zoranus can provide. Tron also finds it a lot more difficult to sustain his way through this 1v1, or even simple trades now give extra healing towards the top laner of Direwolves. Poltra and Chaz moving up here together, about to find themselves a Gooby.
They certainly are. Oh, phenomenal work from him right there. Smoke screen on his head, but Direwolves aren't interested anymore. They're forced to run away because it's a bit of a numbers mismatch right now. Looks like Ground Zero read this one. Got the reset of both Emphis and Bulldog right up here.
Good comms from Ground Zero, it seems like, as well, because it is a numbers advantage if that fight were to persist. Cool little look in, cool little opportunity there from Direwolves when all's said and done, though. Still starting to get a little bit more active around the board together.
Look at that. Yeah, you can see Gooby's been farming up a trait right now in the jungle. Full clear, as a grave should be.
I think it's the next fight where things really start to blow open, right? You're looking at a third Drake for Ground Zero, a genuine potential win con for them, and an Ocean Soul, which would be nice to have. Gooby is, of course, standing on a ward. Would be able to one-hit it if the Umbral Glaive was off cooldown, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to be the case. But there's also the Herald in 20 seconds. Skimmy. So we have a battle potentially on two fronts. Setup's going to be important for that one. Direwolves putting more effort towards the Drake itself. So at Ground Zero, from the looks of it, it might just be an opportunistic Herald, if that's taken at all.
What will Ground Zero decide to do here? That would put them onto a soul point condition. Having popped their head into the bottom side of this jungle, it will give the indication that Direwolves should just make a play for this Herald.
Chaz just used his Shroud. They
Take
may
it like
consider it.
This would be huge. It's a 1v4 situation. He's got no flash. He'll hold out of harm's way. Collateral damage is missed. And Chaz has honestly played that one perfectly.
Houdini. That's, I mean, very well done to find himself out and alive, especially with the ability to have a Karma and a Blanc to lock you down. And it starts with the Karma doing exactly that. So all things considered, very nicely played. Tower's going to fall. Herald going to be traded for, however. The end result is just a little bit of cooldowns lost from the Zakali prior to the Drake spawning, which is up as we speak. But Direwolves with a Herald to summon can come and contest straight away if they would like. You just summon Herald and walk towards the river.
Oh, without a doubt.
Poltron doesn't want to yet. Could be interesting. If they think they're strong enough, they don't need to make it a trade or a force. They might go for the Drake fight. And then if they win the fight, they'll have a Herald to summon for 2 towers instead.
Chaz across the wall will have ult up in about 10 seconds. He's looking for that flank. Dante here on his own so far. Hookshot across the wall. This is your worst case nightmare. Has to flash to his tower. But that means Zoranus is chasing in hot pursuit. He's going to find the kill. Hextech Ultimatum guarantees it. He's going to get out of range of that tower, no matter how empowered it might be. Chaz just annihilates Gooby. And they might do just what you said. If they can get an ace here, they get the dragon, they denied a point, and they get a little bit more. Perfect ace with a triple to boot.
And the perfect execution back over the wall because he still had that one ready to go if some kind of outplay from Memphis happened there. But very nicely done by Direwolves. And a little bit of a mess from Ground Zero, unfortunately for them, on the opposing side. Dante trying to flank against a Camille. She can also go over that wall and lock you down, so the flash gets used. Does not care about the turret. The rest of the team is also losing. You kind of want Dante to be sitting back throwing out damage for free.
Yeah.
Bulldog is going to get chased down here, but that's because he's lost the front line, lost the tank standing in front of him. The E connects from Chaz and says, I'm a head out. Honestly, nicely played by Direwolves across the board.
Yeah, really well done.
Shaky in the setup from Ground Zero.
A big turning point in this game, though. A massive momentum swing in terms of you've denied that solo kill initially in the bot lane. Managed to pick up the Herald, go for the Drake, deny that soul point, pick up a turret, get your first ace as well, and now put yourself firmly in the gold lead. Right back in the driver's seat. From 2k down to now 2k up.
Can't help but continue to say that I've been quite impressed by Zoranus, all things considered. Chaz, it's his turn to flash away. Going to get chained again, but he's already over the wall, so it's a bit of extra damage application. Zoranus has been, to me, so far this week, the biggest point of power for Direwolves, which is a massive positive for them.
Absolutely. He's been playing phenomenally well. Certainly what you need from somebody that is so keen to impress, so keen to showcase what they can do. They can play everything and play it at a really high level, then what more could you really ask for?
It's real stuck mid during this play. Not going to be able to reinforce him. Throws the ultimate out just to see if it can help, but number's going to belong to the Direwolves. Praetor catches him moving.
Yeah, just catches him in the mid-wave. Takes the 1v1, both Eddie carries. Going to go for gold right there. Chaz in trouble, goes into the Shroud, looking to try and pull the Houdini act one more time. Emphis doesn't know where to go. Turns his attention elsewhere, so maybe I go for Poltron, but that's not the prize you're after. Praetor is here! And he's just sniped himself a triple. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Starts with the kill onto Dante, he just turns it on for the rest of the team as well. Shout out to the Radiant Virtue for healing them for unreasonable amounts. A little bit unholy, the item, even that it is not so aptly named.
Tron the entire time with the Unleashed Teleport decided not to go for the play. Continues to look to try and push out the spot lane, but that is a Baron being taken upon spawn.
It's starting to feel like Direwolves have hit their stride now, not just in that last fight, but in the Drake fight prior. Dante, we'll see how this happens. Walks up, he wants to walk towards top lane to help. Praetor waits till he gets right in the bush. Throws the Q point blank range and just combos him straight in the noggin.
Horror game style.
Yeah, it really is horror game style.
Just popped out of nowhere.
First strike bonus damage as well.
Yeah.
Gets it all out in the first second.
And now your typical Israel 2-item power spike is feeling pretty grim in comparison to that Illusion now, who is 4-1-4, one of many now on the side of the Wolfpack with a bounty. Grouped up, empowered, and feeling strong about their successful chances in this one. No doubt that post-game gold graph is going to show a very interesting story because we're now up by 5k gold.
At risk of it being so much more as well, with some standing gold available in the form of the structures. And the turret's still up. Poltron trying to be dissuaded, doesn't particularly care.
No, not at all. They find a target of mine, they want Gubin, they collapse upon him from every different side. He's just gone. They've got a wave primed and ready to go with a cannon there. Baron is just going to put in considerable work, and they're not selling for just one turret in the spot lane. They'll pick up two. And Chaz is already prepping the mid wave as well.
Chaz, of course, with that Baron buff, making sure the minions will stay alive. Poltron to catch the wave just as it crashes. Bulldog Dante trying to stop them best they can, but Bulldog finds the barrel end of Praetor's gun. Another tower very easily going to fall here, and this is where it becomes pretty much unplayable for anyone that's against the Camille, let alone the rest of the team. You know, rapid fire cannon, Lucian sprinting around with Ignite and Nami buffing him up. They just have too much control. They're commanding the Rift.
Yeah, look at that. How do you even step out of your base right now? Beautiful knockout. There's the bubble. There's another turret. And it feeds into your point exactly from only a couple of minutes ago. So much standing gold. 5 became now a 10k gold lead.
I really are struggling at this point as well. You can see that, like, what was, say, the first 10 minutes of the game was fairly well played by Ground Zero. They were diving bottom, they were ganking bot lane, they were using mid priority to make that happen. I think the second they lost basic lane assignments was where Direwolves found some cracks in the armor. They found some opportunities to look for these plays. They gave away the first true Drakes, which is fair. But after that point, when they're feeling strong themselves, they just turn it on. It's kind of the same way that they were able to beat the likes of the Chiefs, right? They hit mid-game, they just turn it on.
Chaz really feeling himself in this game now. Still deathless, sitting at 404. He's actually opted to upgrade that Dark Seal into the Magi's right now at 10 stacks.
Man of culture.
He wants the one-shot, as does Praetor Fear, stuck in animation. That's a tilt culling if I've ever seen one.
Dante got spotted there as well after Poltron threw the Sejuani ult. So Praetor, I think, actually just pressed S and accepted reality.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even care.
Yeah, I've bricked this one. It's happened.
Chaz pushing bottom at the same time, and the pressure just happens on multiple fronts. Ground Zero, they may come bottom to deal with this, but the wave's mostly dead. A couple of auto attacks go mid. If they all come mid, suddenly top's going to be pressured. Ebbs and flows, something has to give, and that's why you're seeing the desperate move forward from Tron here. They've realized that they're so, like, time is not on their side because the pressure is too overwhelming.
And a little bit hesitant there. You can see Bulldog pull the trigger with the Shreddies to try and get them in. A reluctance though to burn any crucial ult like the Gragas cask to try and displace somebody. Obviously, as we saw, Predator would have been the target, but he does have the flash. Still has the ability to dodge out that one.
And one big thing that separates, for me anyway, a top 3 team from the rest of the league is patience. I think patience is a big part of it. Ground Zero feels so pressured, it's hard to be patient, right? You saw the face check from Emphas before when he died. You presume they're there, you know?
Yeah.
So why get bubbled? You know, to me, it's patience. You understand what's going on, but not always going to make the smartest decision. Die was pressuring again.
Yeah, just look at the vision line right now. So hard for them to look to try and make a play. Out goes the Aeroforce. There is the cast. That's a goodbye present more so than anything. Not the target they were after, but it does force Poltron to flash away.
It finds itself a stone throw from falling, however, and you know that they've used resources, they've expended so many tools that they needed to defend the base. And as the wave crashes bottom, they pressure in. They may not even go for the inhibitor, they want to break the turret mid first. Zoranus even moving down, so they might even fight if he gets here.
The waves are synchronized quite well at the moment. Top and bot lane in harmony. So they can play for this mid inhibitor, maybe go for the fight and end the game, quite honestly, at this point, even though it's only 26 minutes into this one. The tidal wave goes out, Tron, flash body slay him in, they find the kill. Decoy removed, and it's Dante on the score sheet once again. Now can they fight a second? Poltron, it's flashless, but it is still a tank. Doesn't die, and jukes at the second. These ultimates, they're hitting, but not hard enough. And now Ground Zero chased into Fog of War. Sensing blood in the water and sensing that there's a Baron up in just under 20 seconds
but
now.
Again, it's a Radiant Virtue Sejuani that has healed Chaz up. Note that this Akali's level 16 with ult, so you don't want to face check it. You can see how reluctant Ground Zero are to actually press forwards too far. Teleport comes in from Zoranus and they all have to run away. Another teleport comes in, this time it's Chaz. He's got a Nami on him.
Now, Chaz, what do you do here? You found one. That's now 14 stacks. Can we find another? Is it an assist or is it a kill? Zoranus jumps in, locks down a key target. Deleted! Perfect execution. Far out. Didn't even get a chance to breathe in that moment. Emphas says, well, I can't live as well. These carries explosive by nature and doing just that with the DPS meters.
And the collapse happens. The mid lane inhibitor's gone. There's minions bottom as well if they want to push through bot wave. At the bare minimum here, it's going to be 2 inhibitors. But I'm expecting Direwolves to try and end the game here and now, with only 2 members left to try and defend.
In we go, one more target starting to place. They're dominating inside your base. The Fountain just cannot heal quick enough at this point. And 28 minutes on the clock. Direwolves continue to just be a little bit too hard to deal with in these mid-game scenarios. They recovered down gold, and they absolutely stamped their authority here tonight.
And a couple of big points for me that you take away from this game is Direwolves still finding themselves to be quite clean when it comes to mid to late, right? They are still very solid when it's team fighting based, but their laning phase, similar to a couple of the other teams in the LCO, have shown some weaknesses there. But it's kind of their own doing. Praedyth and Decoy go for this play. They try and play Flash Ignite. Lucian, he flashes forwards, ignites aggressively, and they get punished for it. But that punish was really good by Ground Zero. It's just that once the lane ended, they ended their strategies. The playbook kind of ran out for them so far in the LCO.
I think a few curious setups also in those team fights when you're highlighting the likes of the LeBlanc and also Dante when he gets caught off on that one occasion. And by Zoranus, you're thinking maybe some of those moments you'd look back on and think, maybe that's where we start to lose things.
It was, I thought it was arguably pretty well played by GZ. As you mentioned, look, for the first 10 minutes, they were up. They were up until about the 15-minute mark by about 2k gold, and then there was just like a couple of oopsies again starting to happen, and it swung straight back in the favor of Direwolves. They ended up winning, it's like a 15k, 13k gold gap or something like that, so there was a huge swing eventually. And this is kind of the fight that all tore it apart, right, Kitty?
Yeah, I mean, GZ played the early game extremely well, right? We saw that Gooby was playing towards Dante and Bulldog when it came to these early dragons, that they were managed to grab the first 2 drakes, which is extremely well because you don't want to be dealing with the enemy having that sole advantage. But the thing that started to happen was that Dante started getting caught, and the first time we saw it was in this dragon fight where I believe Zoranus just singled him now, and he was playing a 4v5 for the rest of the game. And then the other time was when Praetor did that really clean, I believe, bush camp just near that mid lane tower, where he was also able to execute Dante and prevent a 5v5 from happening, which is exactly what is happening here. Dante being 1-3, being in an Ezreal Karma matchup into Lucian and Nami. Like, once again, yes, Lucian and Nami is being led through. You have the response, which is the Karma and Ezreal, which is notorious to be decent into the Lucian Nami, especially in the laning phase. But if you're coming out of laning phase being 1-3, you can't deal with the Lucian once again. And Praetor is just going up on his day with Crime. Like, he just keeps playing Lucian. I don't get why he keeps getting Lucian. I'm getting a little bit frustrated, guys.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of the Direwolves members all got champs that they were extremely comfortable on. You know, Praetor looking really good on the Lucian. Zoranus, though, getting the Camille. He was able just to jump around the whole damn rift and keep on getting those picks as well.
Yep, and something else that we didn't mention is that Emphasis LeBlanc is probably one of the best LeBlancs we have in Oceanic solo queue, so that was his pocket pick. But if we look at Dials' composition, it has a Camille and Sejuani, which makes this LeBlanc's life a lot harder, especially when it comes to these teamfights, because they just have so much lockdown on the Assassin where he isn't able to do much in these teamfights. And of course, Dante being caught in that a couple of times, they're just missing carries in these teamfights. Gooby being very low range on that Graves, dying very fast, and there's just no hope for Ground Zero in those teamfights.
Well, look, one of the players that managed to jump into a 1v4 and then jump straight out of it, Houdini, I think you said, Rusty. We got him here for an interview. That's Chaz. Mate, you're chazzing it up today on the Rift, making Akali look magnificent. How's that win feel?
Pretty good. Much better Akali game than yesterday. I thought that was a bit rough for me, but today I pulled out some things that I probably shouldn't have been able to live from. But yeah, it was a much cleaner performance individually from me, at least, so I'm happy.
That's great to hear, Chaz. And of course, congratulations on the defeatless streak so far. Is the team happy with this? And did you guys expect that win up against the Chiefs from yesterday?
Yeah, everyone's like obviously very happy. You can't ever complain about winning every game. That's, you know, quite good. But yesterday, Chiefs, I don't think that we're like clearly better than Chiefs. I think both teams played like not great. It wasn't a good look for either teams. I think even if we were to lose, I don't think Chiefs would have been happy about winning that game. So to come in and say I expected to win, I'm not going to say yes. I think I've never doubted that we are in contention for top seed right now. So I'm not surprised that we did win. I thought it was a pretty close 50-50 game. So yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's just kind of learning, still meshing together right now. So I don't think everything's like set in stone. Yeah, we're going to smash Chiefs. It's like a couple more weeks I'll be having those feelings. But right now, you know, we're still chilling.
What were the feelings like, you know, during those first 10 minutes of this game where Jeezy managed to, you know, orchestrate a pretty decent gank at bot lane, be up in terms of the kills and the gold for a while? Were you worried at all, or were you just expecting to scale up a bit later in the game?
I think their comp was pretty bad. I don't think that they have a chance to win past like 15 minutes. They're just, I don't know. The LeBlanc pick has to really do a lot of work for this game to be playable. And the LeBlanc used her like counter matchup to influence bot lane, which didn't really change the matchup because nothing went to Ezreal, because Ezreal was based in the first like roam. So LeBlanc basically ruined her own lane to help bot, and bot didn't get an advantage. So even though we were like down gold, we were never going to lose the game. Like, we were still stronger even though we were down, just based off like, I guess, the champion breakpoints, if that makes sense. So yeah, we were feeling very comfortable even though he got some kills. I think like at one point I was level 11 to level 9, I was 0-0-0. So that point it's like just FF.
Yeah,
mid matchups ruined.
Absolutely smashed it today. Now quickly before we let you go, we got the match of the week on today. That's PGG and the Chiefs. Who wins in your opinion out of those two?
I think PGG wins. I think Chiefs has been looking a bit shaky in their stage games. Like obviously we've scrimmed both teams, so I don't want to use any scrim bias, but like just based off stage games alone, Chiefs haven't like, I feel like they're just looking a bit shaky. I don't know. Same with us. Yesterday we played a bit terrible, but PGG is looking relatively on point. They're meshing well, so I'm going PGG.
Well, there you go. You heard it from the flawless competitor, Chaz. Mate, we'll let you go, and we might talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Great afternoon.
That reminds me of
the
something.
sun's still up. It's beautiful.
Out of 3 contending top teams right now, two of them aren't scrimming each other, but Dials is scrimming both of them. So the longer the split goes, Dials is looking very, very dangerous from what they can learn about each other.
That they stop scrimming direwolves? Like, is there a point where Fentanet is like, nah.
Wait a
Maybe.
minute.
I don't need this.
Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But something that is happening is the Dare MVP. Let's see who you've chosen, Twitch chat. It is Chaz, the man that was on your screen. What do you know? 6-0 and 5, chazzing it up on the Rift yet again. Didn't have the highest KP, but just pumped some of that damage. 23% of the gold share, but still 1vxing, just running out of scenarios he shouldn't have lived from. And that's exactly what you love to see when he's hitting the Akali.
Yeah, I mean, called him Houdini, and I stand by that. He got out of situations he perhaps should have died in. I also personally was looking at Zoranus as a top performer from the team because he was the one finding Dante right in those team fights and doing really well at the Drake skirmishes, but Chaz played well.
Yeah, all of them, like, there were a few contenders. Even Poltron, look, he had a few more kills, a few more deaths on the board, but a lot of assists. So he was getting in there, trying to set up those ganks, of course, on the Sedge. But of course, we've got more LCO action to get to, and that, of course, is coming up just after the break. Don't go too far. We've got the second match of the day. That's Kanga up against Mammoth. Who's going to take the bacon? Find out shortly.
Flank, Dante here on his own so far. Hook shot across the wall. This is your worst case nightmare. Has to flash to his tower. That means Zoranus is chasing and hot this view. He's going to find the kill. Hexagon made him guarantees it. He's going to get out of range of that tower, no matter how empowered it might be. Challenge just annihilates Gooby. And they might do just what you said. If they can get an ace here, they get the dragon, they deny the point, and they get a little